Wow.
That same Monday. All right, so we have some interesting stories coming up. So let's talk about them. But before we talk about the interesting stories coming up, let's tell you how you can be part of the locker room. Starting with WhatsApp.
All right, the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 981. You can also tweet at Smooth981. We're streaming the show live on YouTube. Hey, just search for Smooth981 on YouTube. You can catch the live stream. You can see Tega, who's no longer in the corner. And of course, you can send your comments on there as well.
All right. So I think we'll open the phone. We'll think
Okay.
about opening the phone lines if you're kind to me.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with the first story.
All right, Magdalinette beats Karolina Pliskova to reach the semi-finals. Victoria Azarenka supports Novak Djokovic and says players aren't villains. Lazio thumb crumbling champions Milan to move up to third. Ten Hag intends on ending Man United's trophy drought. Conte insists he's proud to be Tottenham's manager. Chelsea contracts to lead to financial fair play rules change by UEFA. Barcelona for many to appeal Copa de la Reina expulsion, and struggling Everton sack manager Lampard.
Goodbye and God bless. All right. So let's start from the first one in Australia.
All right, Magdalinette continued her dream Australian Open run as she defeated Karolina Pliskova to reach the semi-finals in Melbourne. And in a quote, she said, "I'm so emotional. I can't really believe it. It's really a dream come true. I'm super grateful and happy. I will never forget this. This will stay with me for my life."
I'm telling you, I think Magdalenette's her crossover service prayer point is the only one that has been answered this year because what the girl is doing on court, never been past the third round in any Grand Slam. She's in the semi-final.
Wow.
Shockingly, just from nowhere this year. So it must have been a good night for her because first of all the fact that she even made it to the quarterfinals, you say okay, she's done very well, but then she gets to the quarterfinals and beats Pliskova in straight sets early hours of this morning. It's not that it wasn't a tough one. It's not like she didn't have a battle on her hands, but to do that in straight sets and just completely surpassing what she has achieved in other Grand Slams before is amazing for her. But she defeats Pliskova and she gets another heavy hitter in Sabalenka,
All right.
who also qualified for the semifinals early hours of this morning. Now that one took out Sabalenka took out Dona Vekic. I won't say easily, but it was not the match. I didn't expect her to sweat much in that game. Because Dona Vekic is also one of those talented players, but she doesn't put in as much work off the court. So when she comes on the court, you will see one or two moments of brilliance, but overall, I just felt that she was always going to be overpowered by Sabalenka, and she completely was. Her first steps were not finding it on court. She was making too many unforced errors. She was getting looks into Sabalenka's games too, because that's what she does. She knows how to return. She knows how to hit the angles, but because I think she doesn't do as much work off the court, in the build up to the game. I think that's where she needs to work on to for you to see the brilliance in her tennis, and I don't think she does enough of that. So yes, she was beaten very easily. I think it was 6-3, 6-2. Wasn't the most entertaining of matches that she'd ever played, and she had a full, almost like a football team. Yeah, they're all wearing the Croatian jersey supporting her, and I was just like, that's a waste of support. All the way in Australia, calm down. But yeah, not so brilliant a performance that she put up. So Sabalenka is through, faces Magdalena. So we see how this pans out on the women's side. Also in the semi-finals is Elena Rybakina, former Wimbledon champion, taking on Victoria Azarenka, two-time Australian Open champion. All right.
Okay. Speaking about Azarenka, the Australian Open semi-finalist, says she does feel some sympathy for Novak Djokovic and pleaded for players not to be treated as villains. Now, Djokovic has been accused of dramatizing the extent of a hamstring injury that he suffered during the Australian Open.
Okay, so not he didn't fight during the Australian Open. So he came. I think from the first practice session, we saw his thigh heavily strapped. Like he's struggling with something. I thought it was a preventive measures, but the way with preventive measure, but the way he was doing as if he had this injury, he was going. Now, supposedly, allegedly, you have a hamstring injury, allegedly. But this guy moves like Spider-Man or Cut, like, yeah. And I'm just like, why is this injury? And so I think I will say it this way. It is a way I think the best way to put it, he was complaining to Serbian TV that nobody questions anybody else's injury. They only question his own, and that he doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. I'm like, well, if the boy has cried wolf one time too many, people are not going to believe when the wolf really comes
That's
out.
true.
And I will say it the best way. Taylor Fritz, I think, puts it in the best way. He says, you know what, in tennis, every tennis player is always carrying some form of niggle or bang during the tournament. However, some players tend to stretch the severity of their own. So it's not like there's no injury. It's just that sometimes they make it look a little worse than it really is. And with all the toilet breaks he takes in between some matches, and like he loses his set, he goes in for a toilet break, and he comes back and he's winning. And so they're just like, this injury is just is this a true injury?
Something suspicious.
Yeah, but I understand why Azarenka would support him. So in 2013, she was also the villain in her own match. She was playing against Sloane Stephens in the semi-finals. I can remember Sloane Stephens was on fire, stopped her from holding her serve, broke her just the game before, and then Azarenka took a 10-minute medical timeout. And what that break does is, it just breaks the momentum. So sometimes you're on a roll, and then somebody just does something to just break that momentum and reset, just take it back to factory setting. That's what she did. She took a 10-minute medical timeout, came back and won the match, and then went on to the final to win the tournament. That's how she defended her title. And everybody was just like, yeah, that 10-minute medical break was pretty convenient. Like the timing of that 10-minute medical break. So she was a villain. So she's just speaking up for Novak Djokovic. And I understand why she would. But truth be told, sometimes when you have exaggerated your struggle a little bit more, people don't believe you anymore. Don't blame us, blame your reputation.
Started by you.
Started by you.
Don't forget the WhatsApp number is 0809 444 981. Now let's move on to football. Lazio shot into Serie A's Champions League places on Tuesday after hammering AC Milan 4-0 to leave the Champions title defense hanging by a thread.
I don't know that it's still hanging by a thread. I think it's all but gone. They're 12 points. I think they're 12 points behind Napoli and in second place. Really tricky, but everybody still thinks they're in this title race. Even Lazio, after defeating AC Milan last night, one of their players was like, "Oh, we can challenge for the title." I was like, 13 points behind. 13, you need to calm down. You just calm down. But yeah, Napoli. You see the way Napoli is playing their football. It's brilliant. They're getting the results. They're putting on a very fantastic display, even with the way they move the ball around. The way they stop defenses from. They stop attacks from scoring against them. And then you see the rest of Italian Serie A just falling over themselves. The other night it was Inter Milan losing scandalously, and then last night it was AC Milan. AC Milan could have lost by 7-0 last night if Lazio were a little more clinical with their finishing. It was a horrible display. If I'm purely at this point in time, I'm just thinking, why am I still in this Inter House Sports Club? That's how they performed. I would say this for AC Milan. Yet they have some injuries, but even the team that they put out on the pitch, 3 times yesterday, Rafael Leao had the ball, 3 opportunities to pass to Olivier Giroud, and he didn't. At some point, you ask him, did Olivier Giroud take your girlfriend? Pass the ball to him. If Olivier Giroud scores, it counts for your team. Just in case you didn't know. It was ridiculous performance that they put out there. So, yes, I would agree with Lazio. It was a fantastic one because at the end of the day, regardless of the injuries that AC Milan has, it will still be that Lazio defeated AC Milan by 4-0. That's what history remember. They will not remember all the details of the players that had injuries and were missing. But purely right now, and AC Milan have a lot on their hands. They haven't won a game. They're struggling. And they just lost 4-0 on the back of losing to their own home rivals, Inter Milan, 3-0 in the Super Cup. So back-to-back losses where you've conceded goals and not scored any. So really huge loss for them. But for Lazio, good one. They are now in 3rd position, but they are on the same number of points with Roma, who are in 5th. So the only reason that they are in 3rd is goal difference. So don't be too excited yet. You're all on the same number of points. But we are brilliant display by Lazio yesterday. Horrible time now for AC Milan.
All right, let's go over to England now. Eric Ten Hag has pledged to do everything in his power to end Manchester United, perhaps their worst trophy drought in 40 years. And this is coming ahead of the League Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest
Yes, so they
today.
played today, yeah, against Nottingham Forest, and they're so excited, because when everybody just kept getting knocked out of the championship, and it was the teams that are left now, it was Newcastle playing against Southampton. Southampton knocked out Manchester City. I think that's when Manchester United fans began to believe that they're going to win this trophy, when Southampton did the business for them. So Southampton knocked out Manchester City, and it looked like, okay, Manchester United is the only team in form, and the only big name left in this competition. But Southampton played against Newcastle yesterday, struggled a lot, scored a goal, but of course there was a hand involved, so that goal was cancelled. Newcastle won that game by 1-0. So we wait to see how they'll perform in the second leg. But Manchester United will now be feeling that Nottingham Forest are easy for the taking. Trust me, Manchester United may have lost to Arsenal, but that's Arsenal in the Premier League. Arsenal in the Premier League is a completely different kettle of fish. They're informed. There's a reason they are at the top of the table. They have brilliant players. Can't say the same thing for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, they'll put in the work, but they don't have as much quality on their bench or on their roster at all, like the Arsenal does. So Manchester United will be feeling that they can win this. But this is a cup competition. And just like Manchester City found out at the hands of Southampton, Manchester United could find out at the hands of Nottingham Forest if they are not, if they don't put in the work. But Eric Ten Hag, this is his opportunity. He's won before in Holland, so he's thinking, okay, if I can just win them a trophy this season, I am made for life. The last time Manchester United won a trophy was in 2017 under Jose Mourinho. The guy always brings trophies. That's his reputation. Jose Mourinho will win you one trophy. Can be any trophy, but he'll win you one. So Eric Ten Hag is going to be, if he can succeed to navigate this draw, he'll be able to get them their first trophy in 6 years. So he's like,
that's a drought.
And that's a drought or a desert. but he will be able to get them that trophy. So it's something he will put his eyes on. I'm sure he's going to start a very strong lineup tonight. So Nottingham Forest should not think that because it's a cup competition, Eric Ten Hag is not going to put his best foot forward. I think he's going to start a strong starting lineup tonight and then try to get the results against Nottingham Forest in both legs. But let's see how this works out. It's a two-legged semi-final, and at the end of the day, he may come out winning. Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll continue the locker room on the other side. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number, and we're streaming live on YouTube. And Tega, what are you trying to do? Are you okay?
I'm
it's hard
dancing.
to describe.
I was dancing. Everybody knows I was dancing.
Okay. You might need to catch the live stream to confirm if that was a dance or a slither or a move. It's hard to tell. But this is the locker room on Smooth 98.1.
What do you mean? My dancing steps are perfect. Singing right, singing left.
I was like, wait, what am I seeing here?
No, I dance with your chest.
Oh my God. So I'm curious about this. So how come like a team can be doing well in one league and then maybe for something else they're flat out?
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous thing. Like the Southampton that in semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. So for cup competitions, for league competitions, it's like running a marathon and running a sprint. So you can be brilliant in the first 100 meters of a marathon, and then lose the entire race. So cup competitions are sprints.
Oh right.
So the number of there's breaks in between. The number of matches is not back to back. It's not strategy in. But with the leagues, it's completely different. It's a marathon. It's game after game. It's 38 games you have to.
Wow. Okay.
Try and win. So you're playing against 20 teams, 38 games. In a cup competition, you may not even meet all the big boys till you get to like semi-finals or final.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
So fun can be different.
Okay. This feels like we're on Big Brother.
Not this Big Brother.
No, like Alex.
Oh yeah.
Big Brother's watching.
Big Brother is watching. How is Big Brother going there? People to even tell me that Yemi guy, that's my favorite guy that says you give all the girls belly.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Oh, I'm missing my Big Brother. So my friend puts it on. So when I go to my friend's house is when I watch Big Brother. So I have a favorite guy there. He's fine boy. and his name is Yemi, so Yoruba demon.
Oh,
So
definitely.
have decided that he will sleep with all the girls. That's his for me. That's his purpose. His purpose is to sleep with all the girls in the house.
Oh my days, Tiger!
And if he fails in that task, is when I'll vote him out. For now, I'm going to give him my premium votes on
Oh my
DSTV.
goodness, that's so funny.
If
I
not,
haven't watched it.
if he doesn't date any girl in that house, he should come back home. He's
But
only.
why do people feel like they have to go on Big Brother and be in relationship?
No. His own is not to be in the ship. His own is to
Slay.
date all the girls.
Oh wow.
He cannot date one girl. He cannot go there and fall in love. If he falls in love, I'm voting him out.
That's so funny.
Because I looked at him and I think he's going to cause katakata in the house
Oh really?
amongst the
I need
girls.
to see this Yemi person.
So I want him to cause katakata. Oh, he's no Brad Pitt, but he's fine.
Oh, okay.
He's no Denzel either. But
He's just a guy.
No. He's like Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman was fine, you
He
know.
was?
But he didn't carry the
I don't know,
swag.
Chadwick had one kind of sadness about him.
And that's what I'm saying. So Chadwick Boseman was fine, but he didn't carry the swag of a Denzel or the intrigue of a Brad Pitt.
Oh yeah, Brad Pitt.
Yeah. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
He just had physical form was you understand was
Yeah.
okay.
He didn't do anything extra.
Eh.
Oh right.
So
right,
that's
right.
that's the difference. That's what this year means. Doesn't have any. If you look at nothing. But it's fine. So.
But are there hotter guys? Are there like hot guys in the house?
For me, Yemi is the finest. There's one that looks like Boiler. He has the fine face.
Looks like
huh?
Boiler. What's Boiler?
Full chicken.
Oh my goodness!
So like I said, I don't really watch it because I wouldn't know their names. The only person I know is Yemi. So I don't really know their names because I don't watch Big Brother. But
Okay.
yeah. When he came to the house, I was just like, what's this one doing here?
It's the locker room on Smooth 98.1. Zibi and Tega here. Let us know what your thoughts are. We're also streaming the show live on YouTube. Yes,
Yes, and
indeed.
we are only talking sports.
Only sports. That's all we talk
That's
about.
all.
What else we
Anything
talk
else?
about?
Anything else you heard on YouTube? It wasn't me.
Yes,
It wasn't me.
it wasn't.
All right. So, again, the ways to join our conversation on the locker room are on WhatsApp.
Yes, indeed. The number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at Smooth981 or just drop a comment on our YouTube live stream.
All right.
YouTube.com/Smooth981.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so let's talk about Conte now. Antonio Conte insists that he's proud to be Tottenham's manager, and this is despite a rather troubled season and some uncertainty about his future. And in his words, he says, "I'm really proud to be Tottenham manager. I had the possibility of being a manager of an important club. It makes me proud, and this has to be clear."
liar, pants on fire. So let me tell you how Conte works. It's pretty obvious by now. If he wins a game, he's happy and excited. If he loses a game, he wants to go. He's done. He's the chairman that should come and do the post-match interview and the pre-match press conference. So he's a horrible one. So he's always like that. You know, Jurgen Klopp whines a little bit, but he doesn't really. Antonio Conte is completely different. He has to go good. So the one against Fulham on Monday, a long goal by Harry Kane, which takes him to the same number of record goals that the Tottenham Greaves scored 263 or 266, and he's equaled that record. So he could go past that record, but he's equaled it so far. So congratulations to Harry Kane. We've always known that you're a goal scorer. The question is, where are your trophies? He got none. So that's what he needs to deal with. But for Conte, it's like when Tottenham does well, they're my players, they've worked hard, they understand what I'm saying, they're the best in the world. When Tottenham loses, it's like, I need more players. I've been telling the club, Daniel Levy doesn't give me money. That must
be an exhausting personality to be a manager.
It is, but you know, it adds to the drama. You know, if you're in the media, he's good content. You know, but if you're not in the media, just like, can you just somebody put a sock in his mouth so that we'll be okay. It's okay. So that's where he is now. He was excited about the win, and then he said he's going to be with the club, he's going to fight to the finish. But only some days before, we're hearing that he's going to leave at the end of the season because yeah, we're hearing rumors, nothing official, that he said he's going to leave at the end of the season because they're not giving him what he wants. So you're just like, guy, stand in one place. If Thunder wants to fire somewhere, let him know where he's going to. But again, Antonio Conte, that's just the drama that keeps giving. He's won a game now, he's excited. If he loses on the weekend, we'll hear another one. Another complaint.
Okay, well, let's talk about Chelsea. Now, UEFA is set to change its financial fair play rules, and this is in response to Chelsea's trend of signing players on long-term contracts. Now, UEFA is set to set a 5-year limit over which a transfer fee can be spread.
All right. So remember when I told you that what Juventus were doing, everybody's doing it. It's just that, the person everybody's stealing is the person that they catch that is only. So now that you know the difference. So this is what Chelsea does. So if Chelsea, let's say Chelsea buys a player and gives him a 7 or 8 year contract. Now what it means is that he can break the payment of that. They can break the payment of that fee over the 7 years. So at the end of the day, when they're reporting, they did not spend, say, let's use Modric. They didn't spend maybe 89 million. You break it over the 7 years and pay. So whatever is what you spent. And clubs some clubs use that to flout the rule. Every club always finds a way to flout the rule. Everyone. It's just that Juventus are very shoddy at their job. They seem to be the only club that they're always catching. When they paid for points, they cut them. Now they're paying for players, they've cut them again. They're just very, very shoddy accountants. Probably came last in his class. But horrible what they do with contracts. And so UEFA said, people have found another way around this financial fair play. We're going to end it. So only 5 years now. Your contract should not be more than 5 years. Now in England, though, you can still sign a player on extended contracts, because you know how the English are. They always separate from the rest. The reason why the pounds and the euros do what they do. But the contracts will only last 5 years because this is going to be a FIFA rule. So even if you sign a player for 7 years, you must pay the sign-on fee in those 5 years. So that's the only way they are going to try and curtail it. Otherwise, clubs will just continue doing what they are doing and getting away with it. But for Chelsea, though, all the players are signing, they really have to sell by summer. A lot of players really have to go. If they don't sell, then they have a problem on their hands. Because imagine paying all the salaries of all these people when you're not running an NFL team. Wow. Just find a way. All right. True. So let's take the first message, and it comes in from Emeka Amo. Emeka says, I can smell Conte's lies even from here in Nigeria. I know he's definitely going to work. I'm hearing rumors Tottenham are eyeing Thomas Tuchel as his replacement. Mr. Tuchel, if you're hearing me, please don't go there. They'll ruin your CV. Ask Mourinho, Conte, and Villas-Boas. I agree with you.
Okay, LK Aderoba on YouTube says, I like the way Chelsea board has given up on this season's and preparing for next season by searching for loopholes. This is the Chelsea I know. Most hated club, but the best of the best.
I'm telling you, they can be on the other side of controversies, but that's what they've always been. I think it's important though that they sell, because like I said, paying all those people is hard. This one comes in from Tayo. He says, if Kane renews his contract, Jamie Vardy will be considered a complete footballer than him. Come on, Tayo. Come on. All right, so Jamie Vardy played for Leicester City, won the Premier League with Leicester City. Harry Kane still hasn't won cup, Inter Sports Cup.
Wow.
That's how...
He's loyal to his club.
Which lawyer in this business? Better collect your money. You have only 7 years or 8 years to play. Better use it to make money and build a legacy. I think, ultimately, if Tottenham were a club that looked like they were going somewhere, even at Arsenal, when they were building the stadium and they were not spending a lot of money, they had a timeline for when they'll start recouping the funds from the stadium and when they'll start contesting for trophies again. There's no such thing at Tottenham. There's no blueprint. There's no schedule. It's just a consistent revolving door of trophylessness. It's horrible to have as your life. Ronson on WhatsApp says,
let's forget this FFP.
That's financial fair play.
And move on with one life. Job is too complicated.
No, it's not. It has to be fair. So that clubs can compete and some clubs don't go into administration. Otherwise, it won't be a competition anymore. Yeah.
All right, let's go on. Now, Barcelona have issued a strong statement after it was confirmed that the women's team have been kicked out of the Copa de la Reina.
All right. So
Hmm.
this is what okay. So two clubs were kicked out of the Copa de la Reina, Sevilla and Barcelona. Now here is what both of them used ineligible ineligible players. For Sevilla, their player was suspended last season, was supposed to serve a suspension. Um and they still used her to play this match. So completely gone. Now for Barcelona though, here is where it's tricky. Sevilla's player was suspended in Sevilla. So the club should have known that our player is suspended. For Barcelona, they bought the player and the player had a suspension.
What?
Good. Now, usually there's a central system where you can see suspended players on side. It did not show on that central system that the player was suspended. So Barcelona ideally is just like, you know what? They didn't know that this player was suspended because this player was not suspended as a Barcelona player. Was suspended as another player. So first of all, as a club, they wouldn't have known. And on the central system, it's not showing up. So even when they checked, it wasn't there. So why is this my problem? And the club was saying, you know, the La Liga was saying, you know what, at the end of the day, the player knew she was suspended.
Wow. Is this something they can appeal?
They can appeal, but I'm not sure how they'll win because they're fighting the people that did not put the thing on the central system. It's a technical error.
Wow.
And you can understand how Barcelona could have missed it. Sevilla has no excuse. But you can understand how Barcelona could have missed it. She wasn't suspended as a player. It was not showing on that central system.
No one on that Barca squad that could have done any due diligence.
Thank you. That's what La Liga is saying, that so none of you could have done.
Let's even forget the player.
Yeah, could have done due diligence on the player you're buying to see like if she had any, when you're checking for heart problems, muscle problems, you didn't check if she had any card problems or tax problems or other things. So that's what they're saying. They're saying somebody on the team should have done the due diligence. Here's now what makes it worse for Barcelona. Xavi now came out and said it was Barcelona's mistake, they should move on. Xavi is the coach of Barcelona's men's team. So if the coach of the men's team is making an argument against you publicly, why are we here? So I think that's where it is. So Barcelona, I understand Barcelona being aggrieved. It was not on the central system. She wasn't suspended as a player, so there could have been an oversight. But that's what it is. It's an oversight, which means that you didn't look. So I don't know how they are going to contest.
This is why they say look before you leave.
You know, should have checked everything about this girl. Check if she's cheating on her husband. Check. You need to know the player you're buying, you know, but they didn't check.
Okay, we've got just about a minute. Frank Lampard sacked as Everton manager, just under a year in charge.
I think the question is who is going next. You know, is it so? Our list is still on. We should have. Did we ever do that bucket thing that we're supposed to do?
Yeah, we talked about it.
We talked about it where we should have said which manager was going to be the first to be fired, and the answer to your question is Frank Lampard. Should never have been hired by Everton in the first place. I still think that Frank Lampard, I don't think he's a bad coach, but I still think that himself and Gerrard should have continued in you know, maybe the lesser championships or in other leagues. Stay in Scotland for Steven Gerrard. Stay in the championship for Frank Lampard and build a CV. You know, it's not everybody that you know just gets into a club like Pep Guardiola or Zinedine Zidane and start winning Champions League and league. So you have to be careful about that. But yeah, it's not sad for me. It's not surprising to me. It's just that David Moyes still has a job. All right. So let's take the messages from Tayo. Frank Lampard's next job should be assistant to the manager, not even assistant manager. Accumulating 35 points in 38 games. Yeah, really bad. John says,
Tegger.
good morning to you, ma'am. I love your voice and enthusiasm on sports. Well done to you, my lady. Oh, thank you, John. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tyre Ronson. And everyone for sending your messages. Thank you, Tegger.
You're welcome.
Do stay with us. There's a lot more to come on the Smooth Breakfast.